Wednesday was indeed a very busy one in Abuja and, of course, beyond. And that's how we begin talking about the presidential retreat, which took place in Abuja, Nigeria's capital. Well, President Bola Tinubu is talking tough. The president says any minister or presidential aide that underperforms in the discharge of his assigned duties and responsibilities will be sacked. The president was speaking when he declared open the 2023 presidential or cabinet retreat for ministers as well as permanent secretaries, presidential aides and top government functionaries. And the program was focused on delivering on the renewed hope agenda. State House correspondent Femi Akonde has more.
President Tinubu has empowered his special advisor on policy to supervise a result and delivery unit that will keep ministers on their toes and monitor their key performance index. President Tinubu also insists his administration will not make excuses for the failures of past administrations and emphasize that the priority of the government will be improving education, healthcare, and eradicating poverty.
At the end of this retreat, they are going to sign a bond of understanding between you, the ministers, the permanent secretary, and myself. If you are performing, nothing to fear. If you miss the objective, we review. If no performance, you leave us.
The Secretary to the Government of the Federation, who supervises the Federal Cabinet on behalf of President Tinubu, says members of the President's Cabinet must be accountable and work for the actualization of the renewed hope agenda.
The bonds contain the ministerial deliverables alongside their key performance indicators, KPIs. Each of the KPIs contain the baseline data and targets for the next 4 years.
There were goodwill messages from the British High Commissioner to Nigeria, Richard Montgomery, and the World Bank Country Director, Shubham Chowdhury. The British envoy says he admires President Tinubu's leadership, especially his international engagements, and promised his country's support for Nigeria.
Nigeria faces big security, economic, and social challenges. In a global context, the big challenges: a difficult global economy, shifting geopolitical and foreign policy pressures.
So we're here to support your programs. We take your guidance from you. But even though we have the word bank in our names, I hope you will think of us as more than a bank. I mean, our real hope is that you will trust us and that we will be able to earn your trust, that we have something more to offer in the nature of solutions.
President Tinubu says the purpose of the retreat is to get the ministers to sign a bond of understanding that will be a commitment to service delivery without any form of mediocrity. Femi Akonde, TVC News, Abuja.
And that presidential retreat brings up so many talking points, some of which we will be treating right now. And Ibrahim, one of the talking points, of course, the retreat was themed as delivering on the renewed hope agenda. The president noted the painful reforms that have, taken off, since his inauguration in May. And then he also said something, quite instructive. Poverty is unacceptable. Poverty is not shameful.
That's right.
But, unacceptable. And, the parting shot that he stressed even before now, and it was also stressed at that meeting, is, serve out your tenure well. Do well or you leave. Right. Make bold innovations, innovate or die, basically, innovate or leave. Work well with you people around you, the civil servants. And I think it's also, great that permanent secretaries are also there, permanent secretaries to represent the civil service that will now or are now headed by the ministers, who were appointed by the president. And then there's also the service delivery units that the president also said will now take off to be headed by the former NPA managing director, that's Hadiza Usman. And basically you will, as a minister, you will sign the bond of implementation. And if you don't make the mark, you leave, you'll be sacked?
That's a very good one, because I wasn't surprised when I heard him talk. You know, it's been a long time we had a president who would, you know, speak, you know, truth of power, even though he's a CNC, but he was able to tell the people that this is what we are going to do. So it's one thing for you to seek for a job for someone, is another thing for the person to get into the job and perform the job, because you can't find job for someone and still expect that I will do the job for you. So, you know, there had been a lot of criticisms about his appointments of ministers, even though he tried to, you know, cut across the entire nation to represent the federal character. So fine, you've made it. No matter who I have chosen to be my ministers and to also be my my aides and anyone who is appointed, then they have to do the job. So it's not left for them to be able to do it. So it's against what we had in previous times, when they would say, you need to sack these people, and then you hear the president say, well, what would their family eat? It's not about what the family will eat. It's not about what Nigerians will eat, what would be the benefit for Nigeria. Because, you know, this is a president when during electioneering, during campaign season, he was saying that Nigeria is in a dire strait. Nigeria is in a dire situation. He didn't, you know, he didn't look at the fact that he is also a member of the ruling party at that time. He was able to say, this is the problem we are facing. So do not pity me, because I know that I'm going to be inheriting you know, a burden. And that is the same thing he has also reiterated. So the KPI, key performance indicator, is something that is very much important for the ministers and all of the appointees. Whether it's going to be monthly, whether it's going to be quarterly, it has to be, you know, followed through. Some of these people who are in power now, who are having different portfolios, they had at one point in time accused, you know, the government. They have at one point in time criticized the government that, no, they are doing the bad, and now they got a job. So it is time for them to also, you know, act what they've been preaching, and show Nigerians that, yes, we really can deliver on this mandate. So the Hope agenda must come to life, as the president has said. And he also said that, and then again, Nigerians can also, you know, track this, their progress, because he has set them up for Nigerians, for scrutiny. So Nigerians would definitely scrutinize them to the letter. So if they say they are going to do this, you know, we've got the electricity minister. I know it's a burden, it's a big job on, you know, yeah, the power minister rather, the finance minister, who will also, you know, be here and there in all of the ministries, the agri, labor, digital economy. So it's not left for them to be able to deliver on these mandates. And the president also said to himself that, well, the buck stops on my table. Even though we saw the white among them, the British representative, you know, etc., he said, do not bring foreigners to me. I have been there before. I know governance. So I love the fact that he was able to say that, because, you know, oftentimes we always look at, oh, let's go to US and see what they are doing. Let's go to Europe and see what they are doing. But then I've been through this before. So we have to have our own homegrown solution. We shouldn't be expecting people from outside the country who do not really understand, you know, where the shoe pinches us. So I would do it, we would do it, and they need to form a formidable team, because they have to work together. They can't work in silence.
Right, and I think that is also, you know, instructive. And there at the retreat, we saw the foreign dignitaries are also there to give goodwill messages, which the president also stressed that now is the time for goodwill, inspiring messages from our foreign friends, and not, you know, lectures, like you said, lectures about governance. You spoke about homegrown solutions, and yes, we have it. While no country can be an island, you know, on itself, we need to, of course, you know, mingle and, you know, tap a thing or two from, you know, across borders, you know. But when it comes to sovereignty, when it comes to, you know, solutions, good governance, we have it. Our laws are robust enough. The issue now is implementation of our laws. And, you know, this is a fine message by the president, but everyone is hopeful. The larger part of Nigerians are, you know, hopeful that this will just sail through. The ministers, the permanent secretaries, the presidential aides will all be up and running. The president has said that he's going to give everybody a free hand. If you see anywhere where I may be out of line, come to me. I have an open door policy. Come to me. It's only God, the Almighty, that is perfect. No one is perfect. So come to me and be bold. Be bold about it. Only this morning in the makeup room that can be a buzz with you know, conversations, brilliant conversations. we didn't even know that we'll get to this point, but we were all speaking about innovation, innovate or die, basically. Entrepreneurs are, basically coming up with new ideas, just to make headway. And this is the time where our ministers must also, surround themselves with bright ideas, with bright minds that will, bring up ideas that will indeed bring the needed changes in the polity. The president spoke about corruption, how the polity must be rid of corruption. Bad roads are everywhere, poverty in the land. Health is also a major issue. Education too. There's just so much, that can be done, and one can say, never has there been, a big time or big opportunity or big expectations, by Nigerians for, her leaders, for their leaders, to be up and doing, to deliver in all their mandates. And of course, the Renewed Hope agenda is definitely in track, and we on trial. So we see how the government will definitely be on trial. And of course, even the opposition parties have also spoken about, now that the judiciary has had its say on who is the legitimate, president, and even across board, the leaders. We see how the senators, we are hearing so many news now from the Senate, from the House of Representatives, and other, cadres of the legislature, so many upheavals, so to speak, by the judiciary. And now it's time for governance. The legal battles are nearing its end, depending on where you stand from. It's now time for the leaders to lead by example. And we've had our say. Let's just continue to scrutinize the process, and that's what we will continue to do here on the program.